If you could sit beside an elder in an ancient human camp 20,000 years ago, something would immediately feel wrong. There are no books, no scrolls, no markings on the wall. And yet, this person knows things that would take a modern library to contain. They know which plants heal and which ones kill. They know where water can be found during a drought that happens once every 30 years. They know the migration routes of animals that haven't passed through in a decade. They know stories stretching back further than anyone else alive can remember. And none of it is written down anywhere. Every single piece of it lives inside one human mind. And when that mind is gone, it is gone forever. For most of human history, there was no such thing as writing. Not for 290,000 of our 300,000 years on Earth. Everything humanity knew existed in one place only: human memory. The first answer is story. When you need someone to remember something forever, you don't give them a fact. Facts are slippery. Stories stick. Ancient cultures around the world discovered this independently. If knowledge needs to survive generations, it needs a narrative shape. The story of which mushroom kills you doesn't survive as a warning. It survives as a tale about a young hunter who ignored his elder's advice and never came home. That story gets remembered, repeated, passed on. The warning travels inside it, perfectly preserved for hundreds of years. Ancient cultures also used song. Information set to rhythm and melody is dramatically easier to retain. Music activates more regions of the brain simultaneously than ordinary speech. It creates multiple overlapping memory pathways for the same piece of information. The songs of ancient cultures weren't entertainment. They were databases. Indigenous Australian cultures developed one of the most sophisticated memory systems ever documented. They called them songlines. Every significant feature of the landscape had a song attached to it. To navigate across hundreds of miles of unfamiliar territory, you didn't follow a map. You sang one. The song described the landscape in sequence. Each verse corresponded to a physical landmark. Singing the song in order meant moving through the landscape in order. Researchers confirmed that songlines accurately encode information about landscapes stretching thousands of miles. Terrain that some singers had never personally visited. In 2017, researchers studying Australian oral traditions made a discovery that stunned archaeologists. Stories passed down verbally for generations contained accurate descriptions of coastlines swallowed by rising seas more than 7,000 years ago. Not myths, not approximations. Accurate geographical descriptions. 7,000 years of unbroken, precise memory, passed from one human mind to the next. That is one of the most extraordinary things any human being has ever accomplished. The people who carried this knowledge weren't passive recipients. They were trained. From childhood, memory was treated as the most important skill a person could develop. Elders tested children constantly. Stories were repeated until perfect. A single error wasn't a minor mistake. In a world with no backup, a single corrupted piece of information could cost lives. Communities built redundancy into the system. Multiple people learned the same knowledge independently. The knowledge existed in several minds simultaneously, cross-checked against each other. It was a living library, distributed across human beings instead of shelves. And then writing appeared. And something strange happened. Memory got worse. The ancient Greek philosopher Socrates warned about this directly. We remember information far less reliably when we know it has been written down somewhere. The brain, sensing it no longer needs to hold the information, releases it. Ancient humans couldn't afford that luxury. Every piece of knowledge had to live inside them, permanently, precisely, perfectly. And tonight, when you reach for your phone to check something you almost remembered, somewhere, an elder is sitting beside a fire, holding an entire library inside their mind. They never wrote any of it down. They never needed to. And for most of human history, that was enough.
If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next video.